Hey everyone, Matt Basarsik from RazorEmporium.com coming at you today for another shave review video. I'm excited. I'm going to do something today I've never done before in my entire history of shaving. I'm going to use a Valet AutoStrop. So we're going to use some Hendrix Classics. With that being said, let's get started. Okay, we're going to take it from right here so you guys see the entire lather up process. I'm using a Hendrix Classics, the Fixer. This is a new scent we just got in, and I thought, might as well try it. It's very aromatic. I was looking at the scent notes. There's far too many for me to remember them. And if you didn't already know, I do this stuff ad lib. There's no script, there's no teleprompter. I don't have any notes anywhere. There is notes like citrus and bergamot and lavender and patchouli. It seems like it's got like a little bit of everything. They even say it is a scent for men or women, so it's kind of flattering either way you go. It can be for a pretty man or a manly woman. But I just thought it smelled nice, it was new. It is inspired by a fragrance, so it's kind of like a dupe, more, not a dupe, but it's inspired by another well-known famous fragrance. So if you don't already pick up on it, I'm not like a fragrance head. There's guys, we call them frag heads, who are like super into designer colognes, and they can tell you the whole history and like all the notes for all the different things. I'll tell you all about history of razors and materials and plating and polishing processes. Like, that's my forte. But when it comes to shaving soap, I'm always first looking for performance. And then obviously I want it to smell good, but I'm not super picky. I like the classics. But I've loaded up my brush and now I'm lathering. I'm using lots of water. News flash, if you didn't already know it, all the artisan soaps like use more water than you think. I get people who email us and they get an artisan soap and they're like, I can't get a lather. I'm like, how can you not get a lather? Like, just add more water, add more agitation. You should be going for Cool Whip consistency. You should not be going for like a thin paste. If you can still see your skin through it, you're not thick enough. You need to get some volume there. That's my take on anyways. You know, I know some guys like the super thin lather. I don't know. I like more cush. I like some cushion here to really give some glide and some protection. But I'm also someone who has very sensitive skin, and that's why we're talking, is because I originally got into this for shaving irritation issues. Anywho, here we go. Look at that. Made a lather. Another little check you can do is this. If you separate them, you should see the two peaks trying to kind of not let go of each other. And you should get a nice long mountain peak off your soap. Check for hydration. Go for Cool Up consistency. So we're lathered up. And now I'm going to blab a little bit. We may have to refresh depending on how long I talk for as we're getting ready to shave. So I was thinking about what to shave with. And we also had a recent person contact us who had a bunch of collectible Valet AutoStrops. And I was like, you know what? I never shaved in my entire, coming up on 20-year history of being a wet shaver, I never shaved with one of these. We've sold hundreds. The collection we're going to get in has a bunch of them, like dozens and dozens. So I thought, let's do it. And one reason was because you couldn't get blades. So like, this is called the Valet AutoStrop. It came out in the 1930s. It was a major competitor to Gillette. In fact, the founder of this company ended up becoming the chairman of the board of Gillette in 1931. Long story, we'd have a whole video just covering that. But they are very unique. They were called an AutoStrop because you could take the blade and you can take this little strop it came with, and you can actually maintain the edge with this little strop. So I could demonstrate that for you real quick. You would put it somewhere. I'm gonna put it here just because it's the only thing I have on my little YouTube set here. This little back knob, you flick it up. It's like a unlock and lock. And that allows this head to move around. Now there's a little placeholder card I'm gonna take out that has the name Valet on it. Take out hopefully without ripping it. Okay, so you literally feed the strop through the razor head, and you do this. And you see it flips over. You guys get a nice view of that. You got a good close-up of that. And you can see it flip. And it would actually maintain your blade for you. So you could reuse the same blade again and again by stropping it. Because a lot of the wear, like a lot of the feeling of the blade being dull, is just the fact that it's not been stropped and the edge kind of gets, you know, wiggly and misaligned. I always try to find a piece of paper here. Caleb Aylesworth's business card. The edge actually looks really fine, right? But after you're done shaving with it, it kind of looks like this. It's like jaggedy. And when you strop it, it kind of snaps it back into place so it feels comfortable again. It didn't actually sharpen anything. It just realigned the blade. It's no different than a chef in a kitchen who runs his blade against like a piece of steel really fast. It's just realigning that edge. It's not sharpening. You need a stone to actually remove metal to sharpen to reveal a new edge. Anywho, Valet AutoStrop. One reason I never used it is because you couldn't get blades. But with the advent of the One Blade from One Blade, they have a blade made by Feather, and it's exclusively imported into the United States. We're allowed to sell them because we do all this restoration work for Valet, or sorry, for One Blade. And this blade is the same cutout, I believe. Yep. You can see here, here's a little Valet cutout, and here's the Feather, and look at that. These two are the same shape. And that means, cha-ching, I can use this. So to load it, I'm going to open up the head, and there's these two little wings that kind of come off the side. And I'm going to put, all right, there's these little tiny mounts to kind of mount the blade on the actual head. And it flips back down, and then I'm gonna lock it in place. There's a lot of steps here. So you're already kind of seeing from a mechanical standpoint compared to a traditional double-edged razor that's, you know, at the time, 1930, 3 pieces. You sandwich the blade, you screw it on, you know, you're ready to go. This is like assembling like a little machine here, especially if you have to strop it. And that was one reason Gillette was saying, no stropping, no sharpening. Like that was their big motto for the first 30 years of history. So we're locked, we're loaded. We got the Valet AutoStrop, got the Feather blade. I'm really excited because I was telling our video person, Natalie, who's here today, I said, this set is from 1930. And she's like, are you serious? It looks like it's brand new. It's never been used. That's right. It's one of the many cool things about shopping at Razor Emporium, shameless plug, that you can find new old stock or, you know, old things that never been used before. I'm just touching up my lather. Make sure we're nice and hydrated before we give this a go. I won't lie, I'm a little bit nervous just because I've never shaved with one of these before, and it is a feather blade. Me and feathers usually don't get along. I'm gonna treat it like a straight razor and hold it super perpendicular, sorry, parallel to my face, parallel, and gradually increase angle until I feel it catch. Okay. That's not too bad. It's actually kind of nice. Yeah, that's not too bad. I would say it's somewhere between like an injector and a double edge. It's like lives in that land. This feather blade's awesome. It's just going right through it. Another reason I wanted to do this shave was I was like, looked on YouTube, there's very little people who have shaved with one of these. But we sell a lot of them, so I'm like, are people shaving with them or are they collecting them? That's actually really nice. I'm not gonna lie. It's just a little bit cumbersome, like to find the angle because I want to go back to like double edge angle. But it's really smooth. The head's just a little bit precarious. I think the key is just to kind of maintain flat against your face. Yeah, so long story short, Howard Gazeman was the inventor of Valet AutoStrop, but he also invented the timestamp that was used on film. So if you remember, like, you know, you'd get a camera and you'd have like a little date in the lower corner. That was his invention. And he sold it. He got it patented, and he sold the patent, or the rights to use it, to Eastman Kodak camera. So he got a lot of money. And then he thought, you know what? I see this whole film and camera business, and he really liked that, and he saw the razor and blade business, and he wanted to get into it. So he got involved with Valet, and that's the single edge, right? You see, I can't do the double edge soon. I can't use both sides. It's just one side here. So then he wanted to make a double edge version, and he called it Proback. I think he got the name from Kodak. Kodak, Proback. He had some ideas of how to make the blade more universal, because at the time Gillette's blade had 3 holes in it. And you look at the old, you know, it's kind of like this Edwin Jagger here. The old Gillettes would have 3 posts like this, and the blades would just have 3 holes. An old 3-holer. And he thought about the cutout that you see now on a double-edged blade that, I'll open just one up real quick. He thought, well, what if we incorporate those 3 holes, but we have some other lines in here, and we can actually use these different lines and these different, you know, shapes, and those can be ways that our blades will only work with our you know, handle. And it'd be a way, you know, of kind of blocking out third-party makers. Because that was a problem. Gillette and other people like Valet, they're making all this handles and the cases. They have all this overhead of machining. And then you got some guy down the road who just has a blade factory, and he's just selling the consumable. The money wasn't in the razors, never was. The money was always in the blades. So he had this idea, and he actually approached Gillette multiple times and said, I think if you guys want this patent, like, he didn't patent it yet, but he said, if you want this idea, I'll sell this idea to you. That we can have different blade shapes. And Gillette was in their absolute heyday. They were just crushing the market. And they were really pompous. And like after meeting of Howard trying to say, like, I think this would be good for your company, they blew him off. He went out, he got the patent, and Gillette kind of caught wind. They had some industrial sabotage. They literally had a spy, and they caught wind that Gazeman and Valet with Proback were going to do this other shape. And Gillette tried beating them into the table and said, oh, we're going to put the product out. Unbeknownst to Gillette, Howard had already filed for the patent. And when he got granted the patent, Gillette had a product on the market that violated it. And so now Gillette was faced with patent infringement and was going to get sued. They went back and forth, and they literally settled by saying, whoever has more sales, we'll just absorb the other company. That's how they settled it. Like, if Valet's bigger, then we'll take over Gillette. If Gillette's bigger, you can take over Valet. Like, they just went back and forth with this lawsuit. And Gillette had been cooking their books, whether they knew it or not, and they were counting sales. They were counting exports to Europe as sales. So if they just left the factory in Boston and went over to England, they're like, oh, that's a sale. We just sold 100 razors to England or 1,000 razors to England. They weren't sales. They were just transferring inventory. So Gillette was overvalued, and Valet AutoStrop ended up taking over as chairman of the board. That's how the cookie crumbled. And that was kind of the end of the original company of Gillette. I think it was 1931, 32. And that's when, if you really look at Gillette's history of their models, that you really start seeing them getting more consumable and less kind of fancy and ornate. That time period. Howard Gazeman was not into fancy. He was all about the utilitarian. Get it sold cheap. Anywho, A surprisingly good shave. Interesting. I've never used one, obviously, and it was a little scary at first, but not too bad. I think you should give them a shot. I really enjoyed using the fixer. It's got, like I said, tons of notes in it. It's got something for everybody. And I hope you liked our little history lesson. That's all I got. If you have used a Valet AutoStrop, if you own a one blade, if you knew about the story of Howard Gazeman, if you like Hendrix Classics or used a fixer, tell me below in the comments. I want to hear from you. That's all I got. If you do leave a comment, you're entered in to win one of these, the official Razor Emporium black and blue t-shirt. Thank you guys so much. Comment, subscribe, share this video with someone who needs to see it, and we'll check you out next time at Razor Emporium for all things vintage shaving. Thanks, guys.